back to Unaware Commentary, the place for Pokemon TCG battle narration that doesn't care about the stats.
Welcome back, trainers, to another exciting Pokemon TCG battle. We are catching up with our players here as they are getting set up for the battle to commence. Our player 1 on the left with the Ethan's Ho-Oh mat, our player 2 on the right with the Pokemon Center playmat. Our player 2 appears to be going first with a Mega Kangaskhan EX in the active position, has drawn for turn and benched a Slowpoke. Going to go into the deck with a Pokepad, find a non-rule box Pokemon and place it into the hand. Going to be another one of those 80 HP Slowpoke finding its way onto the bench. Shuffle up here, likely not going back into the deck, but important to shuffle the deck before we see the run errand could possibly come out from that Mega Kangaskhan. The opportunity to draw some additional cards on this opening turn, see some more resources, potentially ways to continue setting up the bench or setting up the hand for a successful second turn, as this Slowking deck does look to put an attacker and energy in play quickly and will require some more resources to be available. I'm going to take a look back at the hand, see if we have the energy potentially to attach, or if we're just going to see a run errand here. We're going to see that run errand from the active Mega Kangaskhan EX, drawing up 2 cards. Looks like 2 Cypher-Maniac's Code Breakings finding its way into the hand. Not going to be playable on this first turn, just a pass over to our player 1, who has looked at the hand and has 2 Buddy Poppin that are going to be utilized to go into the deck to find some resources for this Beedrill EX deck. It is important that the Beedrill EX player is looking for what resources are going to be available to them, as the Beedrill EX is reliant upon having multiple Beedrill EX in play to be able to do high damage numbers. So knowing how many Beedrill are going to be available in the deck is going to be important. Looks like we're eyeing up some 70 HP or less Pokemon here from these Buddy Poppins. Looks like a Fan Rotom, a second Weedle, a Badoo, and a Dunsparce going to find its way into our player 1's hand and then onto the bench, activating that Fan Rotom as it is the first turn of the game for our player 1, and going to grab some additional normal type of Pokemon or colorless Pokemon with less than 100 HP. Going to be a couple Dunsparce finding their way into the hand. It's possible we leave that bench space open for something like a Meowth in the following turn, unless we have the Dunsparce in the hand to be able to get those Dunsparce off the bench. Additionally, it is going to be important to be able to get enough Beedrill EX into play, so having space for another Weedle to be able to be evolved up on the following turns is going to be important. Regardless of whether or not our player 1 has a Forest of Vitality, he is not going to be able to utilize its ability as it is only the first turn of the game. We're going to see the attachment of a Grass Energy, the retreat into a Badoo. Going back at the hand, looks like we're not going to see a supporter this turn, as that hand looks like it's loaded up with things that we want on the following turn. Are just going to see an Itchy Pollen from the Badoo doing 10 damage to the active Mega Kangaskhan EX and turning off item cards for our player 2, who has drawn for the turn. Going to be a little bit tougher to get a setup here on this follow-up turn, trying to determine whether or not there is a means of getting some additional Pokemon in play. We do have that Cypher-Maniac's Code Breaking Run Errand combo in hand. Cypher-Maniac's Code Breaking, a supporter card that we will see played here, allows our player to search the deck for any 2 cards and place them on top of the deck. So with a draw ability like the Mega Kangaskhan EX Run Errand, you're going to be able to essentially just put 2 cards into the hand with the utilization of a supporter card and an ability. Very good to assist in helping a deck set up, as well as the Cypher-Maniac's Code Breaking can be used to set up a Slowking's Seek Inspiration later in the game as a great resource of putting something on the top of the deck should there not be a stadium available in play later in the game. We're just going to see 2 cards being selected. Did look like a Psychic Energy and a Secret Box. The Secret Box going to be necessary for a follow-up turn, so should we not continue to see this Badoo Itchy Pollen its way into making our player 2's life a little bit difficult, but not going to be playable this turn as Itchy Pollen is turning off all of the items. It is going to be important to get an energy into play, and it is unlikely with our player 1's current board state that we're going to see 3 Beedrills come into play, as there is only 2 Weedles in play, and I know that we had picked at the hand and saw a Kakuna, but not very many extra. Just a discussion here of making sure that those cards did end up on top. No need to cut the deck, as we know what the top 2 cards is supposed to be. It is that Secret Box and that energy, as we had thought. Going to attach the Psychic Energy to that bench Slowpoke, and we're actually not going to see that Secret Box being played, as we are under Itchy Pollen. Our player 2 probably had a perfect going first hand should that Secret Box have been able to be utilized. Just going to see the benching of a Latios to essentially try to get that Kangaskhan out of the active position, as it is a 3 prize liability for a single prize attacking deck. But nope, going to take on the challenge, saying that our player 1 does not have the necessary resources to be able to take a knockout on that Mega Kangaskhan on this turn, due to the evolution of 2 Dunsparce onto the bench, and the determination of a Lily's determination actually going to be played here. Shuffling the hand into the deck, going to see the drawing of 8 cards from our player 1, as no prizes have been taken yet by our player 1. Going to want to see a Force of Vitality on this turn to be able to evolve those Weedles up multiple times, or that Kakuna up an additional time. Force of Vitality, an instrumental card in these grass decks to allow players after their opening turn to be able to evolve their grass Pokemon multiple times. It is available to both players, but often the grass deck, if not playing in a mirror match, are able to singularly take advantage of those opportunities. We're going to see a Beedrill EX and a Stadium. There's that Force of Vitality we were just discussing. A second Kakuna finding its way onto the bench. A Beedrill EX finding its way onto the Kakuna. A Bug Catching set going to allow for the looking at the top 7 cards of the deck, picking out of a Grass Pokemon and a Grass Energy in combination to be placed into the hand. It does look like we found an additional Weedle and a Grass Energy. No current bench spot for the Weedle, but those Dunsparce are going to be capable of putting themselves back into the deck, allowing for the drawing of some additional cards, potentially to find more options for a additional Beedrill to be put into play. Going to see the attachment of a Grass Energy to that Beedrill EX. Looks like our first runaway draw going to happen here. The Dunsparce being placed up front, 3 cards being drawn, a Pokepad being found, as well as we know we have that Weedle in the hand that is going to find its way onto the bench. It is important we're able to shuffle the Dunsparce into the deck, but we are going to see the playing of a Pokepad. Pokepad's going to find its way into the discard pile, and the Dunsparce is going to find its way back into the deck with its friend, the Dunsparce that it evolved from. We're going to find an additional Kakuna, so the available resources to be able to get 3 Beedrill EX into play are going to be available in the deck. Taking a look at whether or not we're going to go back into the deck prior to potentially drawing more cards with the second Dunsparce there on the bench. It is important for our Beedrill player to limit the liabilities that are available on the board, but some of those are going to be tougher to get rid of. The Badoo and the Fan Rotom not able to vacate the board space, but the Dunsparce is going to allow for the drawing of 3 additional cards, an Ultra Ball, a Night Stretcher, and another Dunsparce being found. We do have the option of playing a Buddy Poffin potentially to grab another Dunsparce. For a Kakuna, we are looking at the playing of an Ultra Ball, determining what resources may be worth discarding, putting away the Dawn as well as a Buddy Poffin. Not going to look to utilize that resource to set up our bench, as we are going to use the Ultra Ball to go find another option here, likely a Beedrill EX, just to get a second one in play. Make sure that we are able to take knockouts on Slowkings in the following turns. Likely that we're not going to get a third Beedrill here, so the safety of the Mega Kangaskhan assumed by our player 2 likely to be true. Possibly we'll just see another Itchy Pollen here, as it would continue to prevent the utilization of items as a setup. Going to see the benching of that Dunsparce back onto the bench. That's why we didn't need the Buddy Poffin, as we already had that resource available to us. We're going to just see a second Itchy Pollen, putting an additional 10 damage on that Mega Kangaskhan and locking out the items. Badoo, really a format definer because of its ability to turn off items for multiple turns like this. And Academy at Night going to come into play and turn off the Force of Vitality. Unfortunately for our player 2, the Force of Vitality seems to have already done most of its job, setting up those Beedrill and a Kakuna onto the bench, but going to make it difficult if there is a need for follow-up Beedrills. A Cyphermaniac's Code Breaking going to be played, 2 cards going to be found and placed on the top of the deck, 2 ideal cards, so potentially just a Slowking and an Energy here, as that would line up to be able to attack this turn and take a knockout should there be an additional attacker in the hand. all of the combinations already available, not even needing to use the secret box to track down those cards should there be an attacker in the hand I hadn't quite seen yet. But the option here to be able to find special energy, if we want to use something like a telepathic energy attached to a Slowpoke to find an additional Slowpoke, or even a Clefairy into play as a secondary attacker in this matchup. Clefairy going to be probably more of a liability than a good attacking option for our player 2, so unlikely to see the board, though we already have the Latias EX on the bench and the Kangaskhan in play with some damage counters on it that are going to act as higher prize liabilities, being able to take multiple prize knockouts with the Slowking if that comes down to taking multiple Pokemon, or if that takes the form of taking larger EX Pokemon out like the Beedrill. It is possible to swing the prize trade effectively. We did see the activation of that run errand after the completion of the Cypher Maniac's code breaking, the attachment of a boomerang energy onto the Slowking, retreat due to Skyliner, going to allow that Mega Kangaskhan to back up. Academy at Night going to place that Spectrier on top. Seek Inspiration going to flip it over. We're going to see the discarding of the energy and the use of Phantasmal Barrage from Spectrier, going to knock out the Kakuna that was on the bench, discarding all of the energy off of the Slowking, putting 12 damage counters on it, and that Boomerang energy popping its way back on to the active. We did see the draw for turn, the evolution of a Dunsparce onto the bench. Going to see a bug catching set. Looking at the top 7 cards, going to find a Beedrill EX to the hand. Do we have the capacity to put a third Beedrill back into play this turn based on the hand? We did see the Max Rod peek out of our player 1's bug catching set there, likely going to be the ace spec for the deck. So we do see a Beedrill in the hand as well as a Night Stretcher, so a means of grabbing back out the Weedle. We're going to see what additional resources we have available off of this runaway draw. 3 cards being drawn, an Ultra Ball, a Meowth, and a Forest of Vitality. Forest of Vitality also going to be essential and necessary to be able to put another Beedrill into play, going to bump that Academy at Night, an essential resource for the Slowking deck. So the Stadium Wars in this matchup are integral, as Slowking is heavily reliant on that stadium, and the Beedrill deck is reliant upon their stadium to be able to get their evolutions. So an attack necessary one and an evolution necessary one. We did see the playing of an Ultra Ball, discarding a Meowth and a Grass Energy. I'm not worried about having that resource to be able to go grab supporters. More important to our player to be able to go grab a Weedle from the deck as it is available, a Night Stretcher to grab the Kakuna, and we know that Beedrill is in the hand from the bug catching set. So we are going to see a third Beedrill come into play. Oh, a Boss's Orders from the hand as well. A retreat out of the Badoo, the promotion of the Beedrill with the energy off the bench, and a big rumbling bee is going to come out and take a knockout on that Mega Kangaskhan. 3 prizes being taken. That is one way to swing a prize trade. Our player 2 going to promote a Latias EX into the active position as well, instead of the Slowking. Potentially an energy not being in hand or a stadium missing. We do have this. Oh, we do have the stadium in hand. Not even going to need to see the playing of the secret box yet this turn. Just going to be able to put that card down. There is an Annihilate in the hand, so an option. But do we want to give up those additional prizes, take knockouts, potentially utilizing secret box to find a better attacking option here? Discarding a Psychic Energy, maybe a Wondrous Patch in the hand to be able to put that energy back on, discarding some additional liabilities. There's the Wondrous Patch. We can just find it off of the secret box. So many options. Secret box is such an incredible ace spec and a toolbox in its own right, being able to find an item card, a supporter card, a tool card, and a stadium. So a follow-up stadium should it even get bumped. We do see a Wondrous Patch as well as a Brave Bengal being put in the hand. Why not grab another Academy at Night and a Lily's Determination for the following turn, as it's unlikely we're going to want to be shuffling these resources away into the deck. We probably want to hold on to that Academy at Night, assuming that we have a follow-up attacker already in the hand. The Annihilate was noted. It's also possible for something like Metagross to be available. We could see a Kyurem Trifrost coming out here, taking out small liabilities onto the bench like a Fan Rotom and the Badoo that are not able to be taken off of our player 1's bench. So we could very easily see a multiple prize turn taken from our Slowking player, who already has 1 prize taken. Going to determine what that best option is going to be. The attachment of a Brave Bengal onto the Slowking utilization of Wondrous Patch, grabbing that basic psychic energy out of the discard pile, either the one that was discarded by the Spectrier or the option of the one that was discarded by the Secret Box, determining if there is a means of putting additional Pokemon into play. We do have a Night Stretcher in the hand, but a resource that should be necessary. We are going to actually see the playing of that Lily's Determination, shuffling the hand into the deck. You're going to look at 6 fresh resources, hoping to find a alternative attacker that doesn't have to give up a prize card and the only Slowking in play, as taking those 2 prizes would be awesome. But if it either leads to us losing the game off of something like a boss's orders, or leads to not being able to attack on the following turn and just having to give up multiple prizes without being able to put a secondary attacker in play, it would not be worth it, especially because it's likely you would have to promote the Slowpoke and then hope that you could find a backup. So definitely going to look for a better attacker here. We did find a second Slowking, and it does look like there's a Metagross peeking out of that hand, so possible we see the Slowking come into play here. We do see the retreat of the Latias, just going to see the Metagross placed on top of the deck with the Academy at Night, and the utilization of Seek Inspiration, choosing that Metagross to be flipped off the top of the deck. A big metallic hammer coming down, dealing 330 damage because of the Brave Bangle attached to that Slowking. Going to see a draw from our player 1 here, drawing a Pheasantipity EX. Going to see the playing of a bug catching set, looking at the top 7 cards, looking for an energy or a Pokemon of the grass variety, and not going to be able to find it. Just a quick show to the camera there, making sure that there is a visibility of those cards. Greatly appreciated from our player here. Going to shuffle the hand. A knockout on the Slowking, not difficult to take, as we do have the energy available to be attached to the Beedrill EX and 220 damage worth of Rumbling Bees in play. Is there a means of doing any additional damage here? It's possible that it's likely that it's just going to take 2 turns, because we need to be able to boss up the Latias. We do see a Max Rod available. We did discard that Meowth EX in the previous turn, considering maybe the play of an Ultra Ball here to put an additional Pokemon into play, determining if there is a resource available. We are going to see that Dunsparce being put into play. Unfortunately, that is an additional liability for something like Trifrost. It is important to be able to keep the hand in a place where if you are red carded, then you can get out of it. There is a huge hand on our player 2 side, and no red card was found by our player 1. We do see the quick evolution of a Slowking, the attachment of a telepathic energy that would allow for the searching of Pokemon. Looks like we're just going to pass on finding those additional basic psychic Pokemon. A Wondrous Patch from the hand, a single turn powered up Slowking all at once. All of the resources going to be available. The playing of a Pokepad going into the deck, going to be able to find a secondary attacker. It is going to be that Kyurem, so we would just see the retreat from the Latias, a Trifrost taking 3 prizes and a win for our Slowking player. Out from the depths and from behind, a great win. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next time, players.